Nobody goes to medical school to be a doctor. They go to medical school to be a doctor because being a doctor is a career that can be both fulfilling from an emotional perspective and gratifying from a financial perspective. I promise you, if the average doctor made what the average fitness professional made today, $19 an hour, medical schools would be out of business. Hate on it all you want. That's the truth. Doctors will tell you the same thing, and guess what? There's no shame in it. If you are passionate about something and you do it extremely well, it should be the only thing that you're willing to do to make money. And you should make a lot of money doing it because it takes a long time and a lot of work to be average at it. If you're going to be exceptional at it, forget about it. It's a whole different world of people. At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
What's up, Active Lifers? Welcome back to another episode of the Active Life Podcast. I'm Dr. Sean Pastuch. I'm your host, and today I want to recap what happened last week on the show when I spoke with Active Life educator Dr. Lance Enerson about the course that he recently built out for our ALP candidates, Orthopedic Considerations. The course that I'm talking about that Lance built out is a course that he's building on behalf of our ALP credential. That is effectively the course that we are putting people who today would consider themselves fitness coaches, who tomorrow will consider themselves active life professionals, with the ambition that we effectively bridge the gap between the fitness industry and the healthcare industry. That course is the second to last course in the ALP program that allows these students to graduate. And the reason why I want to go into what it means for you today is because whether you are a coach listening to this or not, the impact of that credential, when that credential goes live, should be industry changing, will be industry changing, and it will affect you, whether you are somebody who works out in a gym, coaches in a gym, owns a gym, or just knows somebody who works out in a gym or at home. It will be as impactful on the landscape as medical doctors have been, as gyms in general have been. It will be an entirely new industry that pops up to live between where fitness is today and where healthcare is today, because the reality is today when the physical therapist or the orthopedist releases a patient and they say to them, just ease back into it, the patient's most typical response in their own mind is, what does that mean? And when they go tell the coach in their gym that their doctor told them to ease back into it, the coach may be making their best educated guess as to what that means. But the truth is they're making that guess off of an education that frankly is lacking. It could be a weekend long. It could be less than a weekend long of education. And I like saying that it doesn't matter how long somebody has been doing something if they haven't gotten better since the first day that they did it. I wouldn't want to take instruction from somebody who's been coaching for 20 years and hasn't learned anything since the first day. I don't care that you've been doing it for 20 years. Your education has stalled. So you might as well be coaching your first client 20 years ago. That's not going to be me paying you a premium just because you've been doing it for a long time. The Active Life Professionals, the credential that we are going to provide fitness coaches who evolve their education, intentionally apply it, and gain valuable experience that can help people who right now, both the fitness industry and the healthcare industry, are failing. And I want to say that in a way that makes it clear what I mean. The fitness industry is failing more people than it is helping. There are people right now who want to go to a gym, but when they walk in, they have knee pain, they have back pain, they're 50 pounds overweight, they don't know how to start, and nobody in the gym knows what to do with them. There isn't a system that is meant to help that person. They're either going to work around their injuries, which is going to be prohibitive of them losing the 50 pounds that they're looking to lose, or somebody who wants to lose 50, 100 pounds is going to walk into the gym just to live a healthier lifestyle. And when they're greeted by the fitness professional is going to say to them, "Are you here to lose weight?" Which is the absolute last thing that person wants to talk about. And frankly, might be the last thing that person's interested in. Losing the weight may very well be a byproduct of doing all the necessary things. However, it is not the intention that person has when joining the gym. So the fitness industry, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Don't push rewind. You're not skipping. I'm saying over and over and over and over and over again. Holds up its greatest success stories and advertises those as if they are the worst possible outcome for entering the services that it provides, when the reality is that is the most unlikely, highest possible version of the outcome that you could get. It would be as if the New York Lotto or the Mega Millions, every single time that they wanted you to buy tickets, just advertised, "This could be you," and showed people living on yachts and in mega mansions, which, by the way, is what they fucking do. And you know this, and you know that the odds of you winning those lotteries are extremely low, but it only costs you $1 or $2. Most of the people who I know who actually make a lot of money don't even play the lotto because it never occurs to them that would be a way to make a living. They're not interested in making that. They wouldn't even want to win. The reason why I bring up the lotto is because while, yeah, it's a little bit of an extreme example as we compare it to the gym, it is like winning the lotto to get the results at a gym that you paid for. Most people who join the gym, who need guidance, who need support, instead get screwed. They get nothing out of it except they've invested money in themselves and it's not provided them with a dividend. When we put Lance out to ask him to build a course out for us, like Orthopedic Considerations or the last course that he built, which is our breathwork course, we are doing that with a singular goal in mind. It is our ambition at Active Life that in the very near future, I'm talking the next 12 months, ideally the next 18 months, as a real, I'd hate to have to wait that long, but sure. We want the people who we educate to be able to build health insurance companies for the services that they provide. We want them to be able to get the same kind of certainty that when they finish taking a valuable education, there will be a valuable income for a valuable service provided on the other side of it. Right now, 67% of the United States is overweight. 42% classify as suffering from obesity. 1 in 2 people are walking around right now with some kind of orthopedic discomfort. These things are not happening because we are lacking a fitness industry or because we are lacking a healthcare industry. These ailments are existing because we are lacking the gap between them. And more people fall between the gap between fitness and healthcare than are serviced by either fitness or healthcare. When Lance goes out to build a course, he understands that he is building it against the backdrop of, would this course help a fitness professional to both earn the skills necessary to be valuable enough for insurance companies to look at them and say, damn, if we worked with coaches who had this education, we would probably have enough of a lower healthcare spend every single year that it would be worth it for us to make this kind of coaching eligible for the people who pay their insurance premiums to us. Imagine that world. That's one of the things that Lance needs to be thinking about. The other thing that Lance needs to be thinking about is, how do we do this in such a way that it does not encroach upon the scope of the medical provider? Because what we want the coach, the active life professional of the future, to do is not to replace a medical provider. It is instead to take on the continuum of care where the medical provider's continuum of care ends. There should be no more ease back into it. There should be no more, you're too old for this. There should be no more stop lifting heavy weights. There should be no more just be careful. There should be no more work around it. And the reason why there is so much of that today is because the physical therapist, the chiropractor, the orthopedist, the acupuncturist, name your favorite healthcare professional, is overloaded with patients. They are overloaded with patients. They don't have the bandwidth to take a patient who finishes their care, which generally, by the way, I know that you would like to believe care is not good. Care is very good. Healthcare in the United States is very good. There is a reason why people from other countries like Canada, like Europe, do fly to the United States to get services faster than they can get it where they are. They're every bit as good, if not better, and they can get them faster. The problem, we haven't figured out how to bridge the pay gap or the expense gap between what that benefit costs. I will give you that. Healthcare is too expensive in the United States, and we don't get enough for that money. But we get more than most places get. Healthcare in the United States is very good. Doctors, in general, are very educated. Doctors specifically do not necessarily know how to work with a population of people who are inactive and want to be active, who deal with aches and pains only when they are active, who have weight gain due to being inactive, who want to be active and don't know how to. This falls outside of the scope of the doctor. It falls inside of the scope of the fitness professional. The problem is most people who are in fitness today are fitness hobbyists, not fitness professionals. So Lance builds courses on behalf of Active Life in conjunction with other staff members on our team that we experiment with within our staff on our own clients, extrapolate and build out to teach to a new coach who wants to become an Active Life professional so that they can start to provide the same value to the industry that we provide to our clients, our one-on-one clients, that is. This is what the healthcare model of the future looks like. Make no mistake about it. The healthcare model of the future is not taking doctors and putting them inside of gyms and then teaching people who work inside of gyms what to do with the members. That is not the healthcare model of the future. That is putting Big Brother in a gym and minimizing the value of the people who are already in that gym, who are already working their asses off, who are already trying to do the best that they can for those members. It is cutting them off at the knees and telling them, you do not have the acumen to help these people. And instead of providing it to you, we are going to put somebody in your building who is going to undercut your credibility. That is not the healthcare model of the future. That's expanding what we're asking doctors to do, and doctors are already overextended. What we need to do is elevate the value of the coach. So Lance built out, most recently, the Orthopedic Considerations course, which comes at about the 9-month mark of our ALP program. It will be followed by the final course within that program, which is the last course for them to graduate their core competencies, which is going to be dealing with clients who have metabolic and inflammatory disease conditions. Because let's face it, how do you know if somebody's insulin is tanking or if they're just not working hard that day? Well, first you need to know that they're diabetic. Second, you need to know how diabetes works. How do you know that somebody isn't just complaining that they're hot, but that they're actually having a flare-up from their MS if you don't understand what MS is? And now I understand that as I speak about this, a lot of people out there who are listening are like, I don't really care. I don't want to work with that kind of population. And my answer to you is good. Good. This isn't for everybody. This is for the coaches who really, really, really want to bridge that gap in a professional way to create meaningful career opportunities for themselves and valuable solutions for society for problems that both fitness and healthcare create or cannot solve. One of my favorite movie scenes is in the movie 300 when the Athenians show up to battle with the Spartans against the Persians. And the Athenian king or general leader, whatever he is, turns to King Leonidas and says, "Where are all of your men?" And King Leonidas points and says, "They are right here." And he says, "You've bought but 300 men. I've bought 10,000 men, and there are 1 million Persians who are going to come at us. How did you only bring 3,000 men?" And Leonidas turns to him and says, he looks at one of the men in the Athenian army, and he says, "Sir, what is your profession?" He says, "I'm a potter." He says, "Sir, what is your profession?" He says, "I'm a farmer." He says, "Sir, what is your profession?" He says, "I'm a blacksmith." And then he turns to the Spartans, the active life professionals, by the way, and says, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they go, "Haus, haus, haus," as if to say, that's a dumb fucking question. We are here to kick ass. We are professional ass kickers. That is what they were saying. And then he turned to the Athenian leader and he said, "It seems I bought more soldiers than you." That's the point. That's what we're building here at Active Life. That's what Lance was commissioned with doing. It is my job to make sure that the world understands why we're doing it, that the students who take our education are able to turn around and make an income off of it. Nobody goes to medical school. Let me repeat myself. Nobody goes to medical school to be a doctor. Active Lifers, I have good news for the fitness professionals out there. If you are ready to build a rock-solid coaching and training practice, the best place to start is in the Active Life Seminar. Hosted live and online, you're going to learn our signature 9-point movement assessment system, rules for training and programming with pain, and how to make sales feel natural, and so much more. Check out the link in the show notes for more information. Nobody goes to medical school to be a doctor. They go to medical school to be a doctor because being a doctor is a career that can be both fulfilling from an emotional perspective and gratifying from a financial perspective. I promise you, if the average doctor made what the average fitness professional made today, $19 an hour, medical schools would be out of business. Hate on it all you want. That's the truth. Doctors will tell you the same thing, and guess what? There's no shame in it. If you are passionate about something and you do it extremely well, it should be the only thing that you're willing to do to make money. And you should make a lot of money doing it because it takes a long time and a lot of work to be average at it. If you're going to be exceptional at it, forget about it. It's a whole different world of people. At Active Life, we are building the healthcare providers of the future. They are the coaches of today who elect to invest in themselves, to take a chance on themselves, and to service society in a way that the coaches of today are unwilling to and unable to. To service society in a way that the medical providers of today are unwilling to and unable to. There is a gap. There is a gap, and it is not going to be filled by more doctors or more coaches. We've had enough doctors and enough coaches for enough time to know that they can't do it. That's where the ALP is going to come in. Frankly, the market is already demonstrating that this is the path. Because the biggest problem that we are having as a company is keeping people's attention who have already generated six-figure businesses inside of 6 months working with us in the ALP curriculum, because they're so busy servicing clients in a way that fulfills them that they have a hard time taking in new education and practicing it because they have too many clients to handle. There are so many people in the world who need this kind of service. So many people. We are seeing over and over again, this kind of education is doubling, tripling, quadrupling the income that the people who get it are making as fitness professionals. To the point that when we bring this education to commercial gym environments, their personal training departments have gone from $11,000 a month to $41,000 a month in one case in under 3 months. Simply because we started teaching these coaches how to access a type of service that nobody else is providing. We have CrossFit gyms doing $20, $30, $40,000 a month in personal training revenue, with the gym owners keeping 25% margin on that after all of their expenses, with the coaches making enough money to buy cars, engagement rings, and homes, with members writing testimonials and referring friends because they've tried everything else in town. Nothing has worked for them until they got to this place. Testimonials of people who were telling us about our own one-on-one staff at Active Life, that they cry to tell us how many negative experiences they had on their way to working with us one-on-one, because the first coach they ever worked with, who listened to them, who changed what they were doing, who acknowledged the problems that they were facing, who validated the struggles and the frustrations that they had experienced, was the Active Life coach who we paired them with. Those Active Life coaches went through our education and then excelled and got asked to work on staff one-on-one with us. The healthcare provider of the future is the Active Life professional. I used to say it's the coach, and that got confusing because people started to believe, oh, he's talking about me. And the truth is, sometimes I was, and oftentimes, usually, I wasn't. I understand that it's circular for me to talk about the only way for you to become the person who fills this gap is to come and get the education from us. And today, that is the truth. That is the truth. Today, the only place for you to go to fill that gap is Active Life. If you want to be the healthcare provider of the future, the only company in the world providing you the necessary education to both have certainty that you can solve the problems and make the income that you deserve solving those problems, is Active Life. In the future, you bet your ass, there will be schools within places like Stanford, Harvard, University of Maryland. I added that one because it's where I went and I wanted to sound prestigious. That teach this stuff because it will be what the world needs, and the world will demonstrate that it needs it by paying for it. And for those of you right now who are saying that sounds like something only wealthy people will be able to access, that might be true in the short term. It might be true. You might need to find yourself clients who have enough financial means to do it. And you bet your ass that those people are going to influence the people around them to start to exercise the way that they do, start to think the way that they do. And over time, just like the Apple computer, which when it came out was $6,250 in today's money compared to the IBM, which was under $3,000. And today, you can buy an Apple computer for under $1,000, just like you can buy a PC, because it took the early innovators. It took the early adopters, the ones who had the means and had the influence to say, I'm interested in this. Tell me more about this. To prove the concept out. And then the demand grows in such a way that the supply must grow to match the demand. And in order for the supply to grow to match the demand, the price must come down. So if we're ever going to create a service that is accessible to the masses, that can solve the world's most ailing issues that fall between fitness and healthcare as they exist today, it will not happen by adding more doctors to the system. It will not happen by assuming that coaches can do it if we just give them a chance after their weekend seminar or the textbook that they pass the test out of. It is going to happen because the Active Life professional emerges as the person who sits in the gap and solves those problems. And over time, there will be hundreds of thousands of them. And there will be an entirely new industry. And that's why Lance spent the last 6 months building the Orthopedics Considerations course. That's why. If you listened to this podcast and you are a coach or you are a gym owner and it fires you up to think about this concept and you being a part of it, I want to hear from you. Go to @Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram and send me a DM. Anybody who has ever sent me a DM knows I answer every single fucking one of them. If you want to send 2 just to make sure that I get it, go for it. If you want to send 3, do me a favor, send the third one to Active Life Professional on Instagram. Nick over there will answer you. If we're ever going to make this true, it is going to take a critical mass of early adopters on the coach side to do it, to see the rewards and to share with the world what they got. And then it will feel safe enough for the rest of the people to adopt. And it will be the early adopters who get the most reward for the least investment. This is your opportunity. Turn pro. Active Lifers, I have a favor to ask you. If you enjoyed the show, we pride ourselves on bringing value to you through the lens of bridging the gap between fitness and healthcare. The best way for you to support this podcast is by reviewing this episode wherever you listen. Please give us a 5-star review and share this episode with a friend. Your support helps so much. Send a screenshot of your review to us on our Instagram account at ActiveLifeRx. As a thank you, we'll gift you a special PDF with the most common mistakes made when working out and how to correct them.